You ever look at Johnny Depp and think, wait, who is this man, really? Because honestly, the more you learn, the more you realize that the Johnny we see on camera is only half of the truth. And today, we're going into the side of him that most people never hear about. The side that explains why he disappears, why people misread him, and why fans feel like he's two different people at once. A lot of people have been following the recent drama, the rumors, and the mystery surrounding him. You're not alone. Everyone is curious. And the more you dig, the more interesting it gets. So in this narration, I'm breaking down both sides of Johnny, the Hollywood legend and the quiet artist hiding underneath it all. By the end, you'll see him in a completely different way. Let's start with the image everyone already knows. When people hear Johnny Depp, they picture characters like Captain Jack Sparrow, Edward Scissorhands, the Mad Hatter, the eyeliner, the wild hair, the strange charm. They picture the unpredictable, creative, eccentric guy who takes on roles no one else would even touch. But off-screen, he's nothing like that. And that's the first shock people get. Off-screen, Johnny is surprisingly soft. He's gentle, quiet, and sometimes even painfully shy. He performs in front of thousands, but when he's alone backstage, he might be writing poetry, tuning an old guitar, or reading some handwritten letters from the 1800s. He loves old things, old stories, and old memories. That's the version of him most people never get to see. And here's where his second life begins. Johnny lives what I'd call a ghost life. He goes missing for long periods of time, not because he's hiding something, but because he genuinely loves being away from the noise. No red carpet. No flashing lights. No Hollywood parties. Instead, he goes to small towns, quiet cafes, antique bookshops, and little places where nobody knows him. A fan once said they saw him in a tiny European village, wearing a flat cap, drinking coffee alone, sketching in a notebook. Nobody recognized him, and honestly, that's exactly how he likes it. People think Johnny surrounds himself with famous people or huge Hollywood circles, but his real inner circle is actually very small. Most of the people he trusts are childhood friends, old musicians, painters, or crew members he's known for decades. They don't post pictures with him. They don't chase clout. They don't talk about him online. His circle is quiet, loyal, and private. And after everything he's been through, it makes sense that he trusts almost no one new. This brings us to one of the biggest misconceptions about him. Whenever Johnny disappears, people jump to conclusions. They ask, is he depressed? Is he sick? Is he avoiding something? But the truth is way simpler. Johnny doesn't disappear to escape. He disappears to breathe. He never liked the Hollywood noise. Fame wasn't something he ever wanted. It just happened to him. He once said that he feels more like an observer than a celebrity, and if you really think about it, that explains everything. Now here's where things get even more interesting. People close to Johnny say he travels with a suitcase filled with blank notebooks. Each one has a purpose. One for characters. One for memories. One for random thoughts. One for sketches. He fills them constantly. A friend even joked that Johnny doesn't talk about his feelings, he draws them or writes them down instead. So while Hollywood sees him as this unpredictable actor, his real world is much quieter and much more emotional. And then there's the music side of his life. Before acting, Johnny didn't want to be a movie star, he wanted to be a rock star. And even today, that part of him never went away. He plays guitar more than he acts. Music is where he feels free. There was even a time he skipped a major event just to finish a song he was working on. That's how deeply he falls into his creative world. Now, remember how I mentioned there would be a twist? Here it is. People close to him say he's working on something new, something personal, raw, and deeply honest. Something that will finally show the real Johnny, not the Hollywood version. Fans are calling it his soul project. And if it's anything like what insiders describe, it might reveal more about him than any interview ever has. So now I want to ask you, do you think the world has misunderstood Johnny Depp? Which version of him do you feel connected to, the Hollywood legend everyone sees, or the quiet, artistic soul he tries to protect? I'd really love to know what you think, so share it below. And if you enjoy deep dives like this, you should definitely check out the other breakdown I posted about his personal life. You'll see even more details that connect to everything we talked about here. Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed this narration, consider dropping a like, leaving a comment, or subscribing for more stories like this. There's a lot more coming, and trust me, the real stories are just getting started.